Hello and welcome to our crew talk. And tonight, we'll talk about front end. And we usually try to have these meetups in a bit of an, let's say, uplifting mood. However, tonight it will be a bit different, and it will be about how it is difficult to be a developer in these times. So if you're also struggling, you might find some inspiration how to do things, and you might hear some pretty personal stories. And we'll have three talks tonight, and then a panel discussion with 4 people. So without any further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker, Michal, from Applifting, who will be talking about a really interesting alternative to Next.js. Go ahead.
And so, while that is definitely there's some truth to it, I think that 10 Stack Start could be really quite interesting, and it's worth looking at. And I think it's worth looking at for a couple of reasons, and one of them is these breaking changes that we recently had in the space. So from what I've seen in the space, there's been quite a bit of frustration, especially like on the Next.js side, where there was this migration from the pages router into the app router, and there were like completely new concepts like server components, and everything required quite a lot of changes in the code. And so that's definitely one of the things that 10Stack comes in with some great promises, and it promises that it's going to be stable, it's going to be open and independent. And I think all of these things really focus on the frustration some people had, for example, with other frameworks like Next.js. And for me personally, there's one really big reason as well why I'm really interested in 10 Stack Start, and that is this guy right here. So just as a question, raise your hand if you recognize this person on the slides. Okay, quite a bit, half and half, I would say. So this is Tanner Lindsley, and he's one of the reasons why I'm really interested in looking more into the framework. And he's the creator of 10Stack. So you most likely know some of these libraries because we use them pretty much on a daily basis, especially like 10Stack Query. And so he's really built his name for creating these really good developer experiences. And so I would say that the bar is really high for 10Stack Start. So if you'd like zoom out and look at the frameworks from like the most static ones where there would be like Astro to the most like interactive ones, which would be like vanilla React and just a single page applications. These frameworks are of course like somewhere in between where they can do both of the things. They can do both work on the server and are also very well equipped for the stuff that we need on the client side as well though. But they, even though that they both can do both really well, they differ in the philosophy quite a bit. So let's look at some of the differences between the two frameworks. Next.js is definitely a lot more focused on the server. So with the introduction of server components in Next.js, it became like the default. Whereas 10 Stack Start is definitely more focused on the developer experience on the client. Next.js is also quite a lot more implicit, where you a lot of the times have to know the framework quite well and quite deeply to understand like what the final behavior will be. Whereas TenStack, we will see some examples, is quite explicit, where you know the behavior of the framework from the code quite well. And in Next.js case, it can be hidden a little bit. And Next.js is also quite a bit more integrated, that having like Next.js having its own like build tool with TurboPack, also the whole Vercel platform, and so it works very well if it's all connected together and you're using the whole ecosystem. Whereas for TenStack Start, it seems that it's more modular and you can sort of pick and choose some of the parts however you like it. And that could be in terms of some of the libraries you use or also where you deploy it and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's look into some comparisons within like code. First of all, let's look at the routing, probably the main part of any framework. So both of these frameworks use file-based routing, and this is an example for Next.js, where you can see the basic folder structure. You might be familiar with this, and in Next.js you use these specific file names. So for example, for layout, you would have to use layout.tsx, and for pages, you do page.tsx. You can also see the dynamic parameters where you use the square brackets to define those. The equivalent for TenStack Start would look something like this, and TenStack Start is actually built on top of TenStack Router, which is a separate library. So if you know TenStack Router, it's basically just that. And the difference here is that you don't have these specific file names that you have to use. The file names themselves are the routes that are then in the URL. For the parameters, it uses this syntax of a prefix with a $sign, but overall quite similar. So how would the actual page look like in Next.js? Well, you would define the props with the parameters, and then you would export out the component, what you want to render on the page. And here, it is an async component, so we can use all of the async await. That's because Next.js uses server components by default. Here you can see how you get to the parameters, and then you can, for example, query the database for some post, because we are in server components, so we can call async functions. The function itself could look something like this. Because we are on the server, we can directly query the database for some results. In TenStack Start, it looks quite a bit different. So whenever you create a route, it automatically generates some files for you, and it automatically creates this route object. And then what you want to render on the page, you specify in this component prop. And for fetching the data, TenStack Start uses a different pattern called loaders. You can definitely know this pattern from other frameworks. It's quite well known and established. And in the loader, you can reach for the params, and then you can call whatever functions you want. How do you use the data from the loader then inside the page is you call this hook called useLoaderData, and it gives you back the data that you fetch in the loader. And this is all type safe. If we would look at the function itself, getPostById, here again quite a bit different from Next.js, where you have to be more explicit. So if you want to do something on the server in TenStack Start, you actually need to use this utility function called createServerFunction, You can then validate the params and then the handler itself, which is really similar to the Next.js example where you query the data already. So a bit more explicit. And I also want to show a little bit of server components. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but I think it's really interesting because 10-stack start very recently added server components into the framework. And so in Next.js, it's what we've been seeing this whole time because that's the default, as I said, for pages in Next.js. So it's just an async component, and when you need some client functionality or use some hooks, you need to create a separate component with the directive use client and import it in and use it like so in the server component. So the flow of the work in Next.js seems a bit like this. You sort of define the composition and the boundary between the server and the client on the server in the server code. And whenever you need some client functionality, you sort of drop down into the client components where you can use the hooks and stuff like that. In 10-stack, it's really different. So we've seen the create server function already. And if you focus on the body right here, again, I'm not going to go really in depth. But again, 10-stack start is more explicit, where if you want to define a server component, you have to call some utility function. In this case, it's the create composite component, which can accept the like button as a parameter. And then if you want to actually use the server component in, for example, the page component, you call the use loader data like before. And what you get back is sort of this source of the server component that you can then render this way. And just the one thing that I want you to take away from this and the difference that I want to highlight is you create the composition inside client-side code. Because as you can see in the post page where I rendered the server component, I can also use hooks. On the line above, I actually use one, the use loader data. So that's the difference. And it sort of feels like the reverse to Next.js, where you mainly focus on the code on the client, and you actually create the composition there. And whenever you need some server-side functionality, you sort of opt in to server components. You sort of upgrade up. So it feels like the reverse of Next.js. And so which one should you actually choose? I have a few pointers here, which I think summarize the biggest differences and some of them that we've seen in this presentation. And that is, Next.js is definitely going to be more suitable for content-heavy websites, for sites that are more on the static sites where you are going to really utilize a lot of the server functionalities and server components. Also worth considering, Next.js has a lot more features like image optimization, like different layers of caching that could be like helpful if you can utilize those. And of course, framework maturity, because Next.js has been here for a very long time. And so that's definitely plus on the Next.js side. For 10-stack start, it's the opposite when it comes to the server side versus client side. I think 10-stack start is going to be a lot more suitable for very interactive applications. As we've seen, you can sort of you can work on the client, and whenever you need a bit more server functionality, you can opt into it a lot easier. And it's also quite a bit more modular. So if you need to own your architecture more, it's definitely going to be a plus for 10-stack start as well. And I think one very big plus for 10-stack start is actually the migration from a single-page application into something that has server-side rendering capabilities. So because 10-stack start is actually built on top of Vite and 10-stack router, it's going to be definitely a lot easier to migrate from such app into 10-stack start than Next.js. And so that's everything, both really good frameworks. I suggest you try them on your own, and thank you for your attention. Now it's time for any questions you have.
Thank you, Michal. That was really lovely overview. Are there any questions in the room? Anyone?
Hello. My question is, have you tried deploying a 10-stack application somewhere? Like, what are the deployment options, and is it any better than Next.js? Because for Next.js, it works great as long as you use Vercel. But if you want to try to deploy it somewhere else, or try to use it in a Docker, which is like the worst case scenario, you're mostly on your own. So I'm really wondering about 10-stack.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. As you said, like Next.js works best on Vercel, but from what I've heard, it's been getting a little bit better. But for 10-stack start myself, I haven't tried deploying it. From the research that I've done, it seems that it's definitely gonna be a bit easier than Next.js, because as I said, Next.js is quite integrated, where it works the best, as you said, if you use Vercel. 10-stack seems to focus more on the developer experience, so they focus a lot more on having the options when it comes to deployment. But saying that, I've also heard that some people had some problems deploying it somewhere. So I didn't try it myself, but it should be better. It's also hard to say because 10-stack is very new, so it's still in a movement. 10-stack start is still not like in version 1. It should be coming soon, but yeah, so that it's gonna take some time, I think.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Anyone?
So you mentioned images. How do you like 10-stack versus Next.js handling images?
In terms of image optimization?
And developer experience.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat the question one more time then?
Like, if you would solely decide by how easy would it be to implement a bunch of images, would you rather do it the Next.js way or 10-stack way?
I think I don't understand implement a lot of images. What do you mean by that?
Well, Next.js has this like integral image part that already does like a lot of different optimizations.
Yeah.
From your developer point of view, is it helping you not shoot yourself in a leg? Or is it rather forcing you doing things in a very specific way that you would rather just do it very simply?
Yeah, that's a good question too. We've had actually one time where the Next.js image optimization shot us in the foot a little bit because it does a lot of stuff on the background. But I think it's helpful. You just have to, again, coming back to the point, if you use Next.js, you sort of need to know a bit more about the framework and how it works under the hood. If you know, then it's going to be working great. If not, then it can be actually quite hard sometimes, I would say. So if you know the framework well, I think I prefer the Next.js way. If not, or you want to do something a bit more simple, then 10-stack start is definitely better in that way.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, any more questions? Anyone?
Question from somebody who is not coder. What's your experience with AI? With relation to those texts, does it has enough knowledge?
Yeah.
Because I believe Next.js is pretty clear, and the other one, what's your experience?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point as well. That comes down to the point that I mentioned, that Next.js has definitely a lot more maturity, so the AI tools are definitely gonna be better at using Next.js, I would say. But again, like there, as I said, there have been a lot of breaking changes in Next.js as well, which might complicate it at times as well for the AI to actually know how to use it properly. But I would say, yeah, that's definitely a point for Next.js, where it has a lot more documentation, a lot more code examples, and the documentation itself for Next.js is also quite more robust. 10 stack start is still like at the beginning, so it's gonna definitely be easier to use Next.js with AI, in my opinion.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Is there any in the room? Okay, does not seem like it. In that case, like, can you estimate like how much more time will it take until 10 stack is ready for you to feel like having it in production?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. Well, 10 stack is now stable, or like the APIs are locked in, so there shouldn't be any issues like starting to use it right now. But I would still like definitely for sure wait for at least the version 1.0 release, which is, it should be anytime soon. So yeah, at least that, definitely.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the lovely talk.
Thank you so much.
This was Michal, everyone. And now we have another guest coming, and this time, come switch the laptop. And our second speaker for tonight is a guest from a company called Mews, which most of you are probably aware of. And Honza will talk about how laziness can bring you a long way through automation. So, Honza, go ahead.
For your welcome. And what we do in Mews is that we build software for hotels and hospitality in general. So, and let's go into it. First, I wanted to ask, like, is there anyone who likes like 100% of what they are doing in their job? Congrats! Like, we have 3 people. That's amazing. And I was just clicking without knowing about it, sorry. So, again, so imagine that you are working through something and a message arrives. What's it gonna be? I don't know. Okay, it's from our colleague, Peter, who works as a PM, and he has a problem because their customer has a problem, and their guest tried to order breakfast for their dog, and they couldn't. So what do? Well, as a reasonable traditional person, you're gonna reply with something like this because you don't want to deal with this, actually. But you give them the opportunity or chance to think that it's handled, right? So please create a Jira ticket. Or you're going to be nice this time and write it yourself, which, to be honest, for me it's quite tedious because it's not just this line, like which describes the problem, but there's like other things, which is, oh, come on. So there's like team, you need to select team, you need to select like story points, you need to put some labels, other required fields, and then you need to do this like description, which needs to be structured. in order to like provide any value, right? So quite tedious experience. Let's put Claude on it, right? So what's it gonna do? So I have Claude, and if I want Claude to be useful, I need to connect some things, because otherwise you can just code and it's not as exciting. So if you want to like automate like more of your job, you need to connect something. So we have Slack, because the message came on Slack, and we have Atlassian for Jira connection, right? So let's ask it to create the Jira ticket based on the message we had. Well, it will try, and it will fail, because it has the same problems as you have, right? Because it doesn't know what the required fields are. It doesn't know like what workflows you use, like for story points or labels and these kind of things. So you need to fix it manually. And then when you have it, you can just ask it to create a skill, because you already put some effort into learning how this thing works, how it should behave, and then you can simply extract like a skill from what you are doing. So it's going to create a skill, and the file is going to look something like this. It's going to be like a description of what you want to achieve, what are the workflows, what IDs it should use, because it doesn't have to find all those IDs, like which project has which ID, which is going to be used by the API in the end, or like the labels and so on. So everything is described, and it's going to create your task seamlessly. So next time, sorry, then another part is creating a pull request. This is kind of fine. The only problem is this field, like the description, because also should be structured. It should describe what you are doing, why. And it's better to create with Claude, because you are working on something and it knows like what you are working. And if you have like GitHub CLI connected, it's gonna do a great job and describe it well. So next time you have a very strict colleague, and the colleague like knows all the rules, right? So you must create a ticket for everything. The PRs need to have a description, otherwise the colleague is not happy. So you can please the colleague quite easily, no problem, with a one-liner. So we are working on something, and then please commit, create a Jira, create a PR. You have all these skills, and it takes one line to do everything, every piece of bureaucracy you need to do, right? So it's gonna grind through it. It's gonna take all the 4 subtasks which need to happen, and then, oh no, we have some review comments. I thought it was done. So please review the comments, fix it, and it's gonna do it, right? But maybe you shouldn't like accept everything like your colleagues write, or their clots are writing too. And like if you, again, you did something, you ask Claude to fix your PR comments, you can create a skill for it. And also another like good tool for you is CloudMD or AgentsMD, or any kind of instructions for the agent that can prevent this from happen ever again. Like if you have something like this, you can ask it to update the instructions, and it's gonna create like coding standards, with instructions based on the reviews you got. Okay. I'm gonna say some unpopular opinion. I think like coding is boring, especially when it comes to like creating production-ready code, because coding is not just about like problem solving. It's about coding standards, architecture, unit testing, integration testing. There's more. There's observability, documentation, localization, feature flags, all of this. And this can be covered by the CloudMD. Like if you have good documentation of your best practices and of your expectations of what production-ready code look like, it's gonna be able to create all those things. But if you don't specify it, like Claude is gonna act like an average developer. You need to ask it to do more. Another problem. So we had some production issues. In Mews, we use Coralogics as our observability solution. And I really hate like working with these like windows where all the logs are, because I can't find anything there. Never. So luckily, I'm connected via CLI or something to this like observability system. And I can ask, what's going on? Like, can you please find something in the logs? Luckily, it can. And it's much more comfortable for me because I know what I need to have, but I have no idea like where to find it in those UIs, because like these tools have so complicated UIs. Like text is better for me. So it found something. Fix it, please. And it's fixed. And because it's now you are doing great job. So you need to announce something about it, like somewhere. So your colleagues know that you are doing a great job. So please write it on Slack somewhere. Of course, you already have a skill for it because you did it before, and you know what you need to, how it should look like. You want to control something. You don't want to like send the message blindly. So there's draft. You can preview, and you just confirm it, and then it's posted. And now, just the thank you letters. That's it, basically. So, to wrap it up, first point is, please observe when you are upset with something or bored or you just hate doing something. Then, when you see something like this, automate it. If you just did something, if you just worked on something and you think it will happen again, automate it. And if you have like many of these small automations, you can just chain them and it's gonna create magic. So you don't need to be creative to like create all those automations. You just like need to follow your frustration and observe it. Thank you.
Thank you for a lovely talk. I'm really sorry that nobody, like not my parents, not my teachers, have told me that being lazy is something that pays off in life, but here we are. Are there any questions?
Hello. I'm going to have a little bit of a question from QA side, because I know that devs hate writing tests, and AI loves writing tests that just cannot fail. And I know that this presentation is like a lot simplified, but have you ever had issues with like finding out that your unit tests, because they are like very automated and are generating themselves, that they actually didn't catch something because AI just loves overusing like error handling and just making tests that like check if 1 equals 1 and stuff like that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm one of these developers who hate writing tests. And I acknowledge that it's like, there's this danger, exactly. Like, if you just like write production code first and then you like let AI write tests, there's a real danger of it's not gonna catch everything. So maybe we could ask AI to do like test-driven development, could work. And yeah, it loves to like create very long test files. So you need to ask it to be concise.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hello. You were mentioning about not taking everything automatically generated by Claude or in AI. So it's not the problem nowadays to generate any code, but we should review it. So what's your approach to review the code that's generated by AI?
Yeah, to be honest, like I'm vibe coding more and more. And I think I can kind of afford it because AI is really good when it knows what it should do. So you need to first invest in like the instructions to cover like all the rules, all the specifics, all your architecture, your what is the business case. Then review the specification, let it work, review the result, and only after that I review the code.
So in most cases, are you happy with the outcomes? Or
Yeah, most cases I'm surprised how good it is.
That's good.
But you need to have like all the instructions specified first.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've seen there's one more question, right?
Thank you. I think I like your presentation. It's very creative, even though you say you don't need to be. For me, I've been experiencing how to use Claude for my daily work for the past few months. I've been learning. So one of my frustrations is I try to let my agents talk to each other, but I'm still exploring, of course. So that's my part of frustration. And for you, in your work, day-to-day work, what is your biggest frustration right now using Claude? That seems like a big question.
It's like a parallelization, maybe. Like it's difficult to let it work on a couple of things independently and then synchronize. And I'm not much into like this agent-to-agent communication because my experience is that if you ask agents to review something and then fix it and then review it again and then fix it, it's gonna be worse and worse. So there's like still needs to be some like human with an actual opinion.
Thank you. There's one more question.
First of all, I really liked how practical your presentation was.
Thank you.
If you continue doing that, what is left for you to do? What would you never trust Claude with?
Well, it's like another human. Like you cannot trust like fully another human. You need to you need to ask like explain what you want first, which is still programming, right? So it's still like giving instructions what needs to happen, and it's like still programming but on a higher level.
Thank you. Okay, in that case, let's move on to the next speaker. Thank you again, Honza, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Let's hope that we are all a bit more lazy in the future. The next speaker is Terka from Applifting, and she will talk about not really a technical topic, although she's one of the most capable technical people I know, which might be really interesting. So let's give a warm applause to Terka, who will talk about her experiences with AI.
Should I talk? Yeah. And this is working. Oh, and it froze. So just a moment. No, it's okay. Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Philip, for the very nice intro. And so this is a presentation. It's called We Need to Talk, and it's confessions about a front-end dev's AI journey. The front-end dev is me. And I could talk about this for hours, but let's try to fit it into 10 minutes. First, I have a little interaction as well, so put your hand up who felt some kind of AI anxiety today. Okay, and you can keep it up. In the last week, you can add, or even in the last year. Okay, yeah, I saw a lot of hands. Sound is okay, yeah. So, well, it's not good, but it's good that you are here, because we're gonna talk about it now. First of all, about me and my team, what we do. We do something that we call AI accelerated development. So that basically means we rarely write code by hand. We have a big, we have a big setup with a lot of rules, skills, and so on. This is just a screenshot. We work with either Claude or Cursor, we can choose. And we use multiple MCPs. And just for example, like Figma, Context 7, or my favorite Sentry MCP. I really love that one. So this is my daily environment, basically. And well, about the AI anxiety. I did some research about this, and it turns out there's quite a lot of papers emerging on this, like actual research. And I especially liked one that identified a U-shaped relationship between AI usage and AI anxiety. So, if you are on the left, that basically means total avoidance, you don't use AI at all. You have anxiety, because it's kind of the fear of the unknown, like you maybe don't know what's really coming, you're afraid. If you are a moderate user, use it consciously, maybe just the thing that actually works for you, you are in the sweet spot. You have the lowest anxiety, you are in the bottom of the U-curve. We want to be there. And if you're on the right, that's extreme usage, you might face another kind of anxiety, like even existential anxiety, like what's gonna happen to humanity, or even you might observe that you have some kind of addictive behavior, so that's not good as well. We want to be somewhere in the middle. And now for the story of the relationship with AI. So I thought about it, and well, I realized that it's very similar to any other relationship that the humans have, with each other even. So it has similar phases. So the first one is the honeymoon phase. That's a nice one, right? Like for me, that started with the very first ChatGPT prompt. It continued with like Copilot completing my code and starting using Cursor maybe. And well, the work was getting done faster. I had time to relax between the tasks. I think it really helped with my imposter syndrome, and well, yeah, it was just good times. At the same time, I was not really anxious about my role as a developer, because let's face it, the models were not that good yet. So this was okay. But then came the reality check, like really getting to know each other. For me, that was autumn last year, where I started to feel anxious about like, yeah, I had a huge FOMO. Every time I opened LinkedIn or I overheard my colleagues speaking at lunch, I felt like there's so many AI news, I can never catch up, like I will just not be able to, because I have always a lot of project work to do, right? And at the same time, we started some, like a really big rewrite on our project. We decided to use AI a lot for that. And the development was speeding up so much, like we were producing like new code all the time, and I started questioning my job, like, is this what I sign up for? Like, is this what I actually enjoy still, doing? And if I look back 1 year, how it looked, and what's gonna happen in 1 year time, again, like a lot of uncertainty, and Christmas break really helps. Like, sometimes it's just, I think, really good to take a step back and not to think about it at all, like take a big break. And thanks to the break, I could move to the next phase where I really committed. I was like, okay, let's dive into this AI thing, and let's like try what it offers, right? So 2 important things. We negotiated a better subscription for the team, so I never ran out of tokens anymore, and that was great because I could really experiment. I went to Thailand for 5 weeks, and I got a little bit bored at the end, so I even did my whole own project, and that's where I really got like excited about it, like how cool is this, all the things I can do, and I really started using plan mode a lot. That for me was a huge turning point because it definitely gave me more control over the output. And also I started enjoying again, like actually the process of creating the plan. So yeah, this was good. And this is where I was, I think, in the sweet spot. And together with the whole team, because we were like getting used to the new way of work. And then the next phase was power struggles and boundaries. And now I think this one is the most important because I want to address some like new kind of problems that maybe you never had before. Maybe you have them too right now, you just don't know that they have a name. So let's go through them. First one is something we call verification bottleneck. So AI produces a lot of output very fast. Someone should check it, right? We already had questions about the code review. So yeah, of course, our PRs, they started piling up. Nobody really or I don't know, maybe someone likes to do code review, but it's definitely usually not the most popular part. So we were thinking, what are we going to do with this? Because it's like slowing us down in the end. And well, we decided to use more AI. So we use GitHub Copilot that automatically comments our PRs. And also we have a special code reviewing skill, like specifically for our project. It's connected to our Applifting Frontend playbook. And to be honest, it does better code review than us, so we are quite happy with it. Then there's a design and PO bottleneck. So at one point, because we devs, we were like the cookie monster, like producing the task or like consuming the tasks and saying like, hey, I don't have to like work to do anymore. This never happened before. Like, give me more designs, give me more tasks. So this was just a point. This didn't happen like continuously. But what to do about it? Well, the answer is that the developers, they need to shift left. So that means they get more involved in the product design process. So like everybody kind of cooperates much earlier, and then you have like, yeah, you kind of solve this problem. Another one, big topic, is AI brain fry and decision fatigue. Maybe if you use AI, which you probably do, you know this kind of weird brain fog that you have when you produce already a third feature in one day, and it's just, there is only so much features you can produce in one day, even with AI, because there's some kind of cognitive load, and like human brain is not prepared for that. So the effect that it has also, I notice on myself and on the team, that we are getting more impatient, which is ironic because we are getting faster, right? But we are getting impatient, and mistakes happen because we are all tired of all the decisions we have to make. And it led us to a point that we are not really proud of, but I'm gonna tell it. One feature was taking too long, a PO got impatient, vibe coded a piece of it, and it got merged without a proper front-end code review. And this was like a wake-up call for us because we were not happy about this. It was okay, like the code was fine in the end, but yeah, we had like 2 retrospectives, and we said, okay, we really need to calm down, like slow down, stick to the processes, or even think about new processes or workflows to like face these problems. Oh, and personal tip, if this video loads. Maybe not. Oh, yes. So sometimes when you're waiting for an agent to finish a task, you tend to like take a phone and start scrolling, and that's really bad for your brain because it's another context switch. So I have on the side, on my monitor, I have this webcam of storks, and like it's just, well, it's stuck right now, but it's really amazing. It's the best part of the internet, I swear. Really recommend it. That was a bit random, but relevant, I think. Next one, AI slop. Maybe you saw something like this on the social media, like content that's produced by AI. It doesn't really make sense. No one really cares, but it's there. So you can have AI slop even in your code base. And yes, we also have some parts of the code that are like made by AI from like the early times that I would say, yeah, they are a bit sloppy. We are not proud of that, so that's like a new technical debt. And how we fight it? Well, better project setup, better rules, better agentsmd, really like set everything up and the code reviews in the way that these things, they don't happen anymore. And the last one, productivity paradox. So that is a phenomena that says like individual coding speed increases, but like the overall output of your team or company stays the same or even declines. I don't see this in our team right now. I don't have numbers for it because it's really hard to measure. It's more like a feeling. But I think it's important to like keep an eye on it because through all the code reviews and all the like organization around it, it might have happened. And something that's like related to this is estimations. Like, this is me now on like an estimation workshop. They present a task. I'm like, okay, 5 story points. But then I use AI, so probably 3. But then I want to protect my mental space, so I should put 5. But maybe I'm cheating, so, you know, and then you're like, I think we really need to find a new way to think about this and get on the same page, because now everybody estimates very differently. So even velocity of your team, it's like, what does it really say right now? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Where are we now with the team? I think we are in a nice phase in a stability and teamwork. It's a work in progress. We are improving our skills, rules, all the workflows. We are sharing the experience in the team, in the company, or in the public. That's what we are doing like today. And I think it's really important because we are all learning. This is all new. And yeah, if we share, maybe we come up with something great. And what's next? I think we will be doing this for some time, like swinging on the swing, because new tools will come. We'll get a bit anxious about them. Then maybe we'll realize it was a hype, we don't need it, or we learn how to use them, and we continue. So we have to mentally prepare for this. And for our team, we want to really look into spec-driven development. So that's like kind of the part of the shift left. I'm kind of excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. And face some kind of mental blockers. For me, I'm still using Cursor. I really feel like I should switch to Claude, but I'm just somehow not able to because I don't want to change my workflow right now because I like it. So it's like something internal I need to work on. And finally, something take-home tips for you. Have a team AI talk, either a dedicated retrospective or a coffee break. Ask for sprint time, because it's really hard to find time when you have all the tickets. So make the ticket, and the ticket will say, like, I will learn how to use this tool, for example. And it really helped me to find the time for it. And then finally, choose like just 1 or 2 workflows that work for you, not for some LinkedIn guy, but for you, and then build on that. And thank you, and now let's discuss everything.
Wow, what a talk. That
Thank you.
hurt. Anyway, are there any questions in the room? Anyone? I bet there are a ton. Anyone? No, no questions.
I do have one quite broad question, right? And it's, you kind of hinted at it already with the shift left, but what is our job right now? Because it was never writing code, like just translating business requirements to syntax. I don't believe that, but like what's the job? Is it reviewing AI? Is it like being at the same level as PMs and thinking about the product? That's kind of my question that I'm thinking a lot about lately. So I'm interested in your opinion.
Yeah, good question. I think we are going towards like all these roles kind of merging. Like the role of the dev is definitely still to understand the whole architecture of the app and like having some kind of control at least, like knowing the standards, security. You know, you still have need someone for that. But definitely we are shifting towards the point where you will be the product designer as well. And yeah, then it really depends on your skill set, I think. But yeah, for example, now we have our POs. They just like vibe code their own prototypes. They test it with users. They don't need us for that at all. So yeah, it's like merging.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
I want to ask, do you do all this only with your team, or you scale throughout the whole company of how many, 200 people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so each team is a bit different in each project, but yes, we are trying to really like push this for the company. We have AI workshops for different technologies. We have like sharing sessions. So yes, this is where we are like heading, I would say.
And is it easier or harder to scale with more people? Because I'm in a new job now, basically having a task to spread this in an organization of 10,000 people. So that would be a priceless experience if you can share.
Yeah, well, yeah, with 2,000 people, it's going to be more difficult. I don't know if they are all developers or not.
Business people mostly,
or business people.
Some developers.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the culture as well, because here you have developers. Most of them are really curious about new things they want to try. So with business people, I'm sorry, I really don't know. Okay.
Well, thank you anyway.
But I think it's okay. If I have one tip, don't overwhelm them. Just really start small, I think, because the people, they need to see that it helps with something, specific for them. And yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Right.
I got curious, what's the project you started and probably finished when you were back in Thailand? Is it vibe coding? What did you do?
Yeah, so for 3 years, I was promising my friend who has bees and she produces honey. So she wanted an e-shop, right? And so like this, in a week, I was able to design it, code it, back-end, front-end, everything deployed to production, and it works pretty well. So yeah, she's happy.
I mean, who wouldn't be having a job like keeping bees?
Yeah.
That has future.
Hey, I want you to ask about the complexity of features on the poker session you mentioned. Do you find if nowadays the feature becomes more complex for you as for developer with having AI capabilities, or it's still the same and you have to evaluate it based on the previous experience?
If the feature feels more complex for me, you mean? Or
yeah, in the team, if you give in to developers more complex features or part of the projects.
Oh, like that. Okay. Yes, I think so. We have one junior dev on the team, and I think she's handling pretty difficult tasks that 3 years ago I wouldn't expect a junior to do. If that's answering your question.
Yeah. Because you were mentioning you're struggling between 3 and 5 points. So I'm curious about the complexity of this feature, how you evaluate nowadays.
Yeah. Okay, so I think for me the problem is that in the end I know we should estimate by complexity, but in the end everybody is thinking in time. It's hard not to do that. So for me it's not so much about the complexity, but about the amount of time that I'm going to spend doing the feature.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. If there are no more questions, then thank you, Terka, for a lovely talk.
Thanks.
I hope it's recorded. Můžeš. I definitely hope it's recorded because if it is, then I'll definitely recommend everyone in the company to have a look at it. Anyway, let's have a brief 5 to 10 minute break, and then we will proceed with the panel discussion, which will be about what is it like to be a developer now and what it will be like in, let's say, a year. Thank you. Okay. Let's find a seat, everyone, including our panelists. The panel discussion is before us, and how we usually approach these discussions is that I have a question for specific speaker, which is a bit usual, so I wanted to mix it up a bit tonight. So I have 4 topics prepared for you, and I would like to let our panelists discuss these topics as I will present those topics to them. We have some guiding questions there, but let's see if they answer, and if they don't, I'll try to push them a bit to really get some nice answers. And I don't have a pointer, so let's see if this works. It does, with a delay. Technical difficulties. Anyway, the first topic for tonight is being a front-end developer in 2026, so this year. And my question is, which part of development changed for you in the last 2 years, and which skills lost value and which skills gained value? So go on. Take microphone, anyone, and what do you think about being a front-end developer in 2026? Go ahead.
Okay, so I can talk. I haven't talked today yet, so it's my turn. So what changed? So definitely for me, one thing that changed it, I don't really write code anymore by hand. So, and I think that's also going to be the skill that's lost really value. So until now, or let's say 2-3 years before, when you wanted to find a job, one of your best skills was that you know, for example, React, and you know the skill set of React, how it works, how it works in the ecosystem, what kind of libraries you need to use, and so on. So, and now the skill of writing code basically is not there anymore. AI writes the code, knows what to do. Maybe the skill what's left, so still knowing what kind of libraries to use, but this still getting questioned. So because AI can choose libraries, maybe it can choose the best one. So there, I think some experience is still needed, but this is definitely something that changed for me.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it important to have experience, because you need to be able to look behind the corner and to see issues before they come?
So you still have to know what's written there or what AI wrote, but it's not like the skill that you need to know the exact syntax, how to write the code. If now you would ask me to write a React component, I really would need to think hard what is the exact right syntax to not make any mistakes in there. So, but of course, if I read it, I still know what it does, but I don't really read anymore the exact syntax and the characters that which is where.
So basically, the useless skill is now syntax.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Any other ideas? Any other views on what's changed for you? Go ahead, Hamza.
Maybe like being productive.
Sorry, I'll just switch this on.
I'll say maybe like being productive is useless, because like productive writing code, I mean, like creating lots of components in a short time, it's not valuable anymore, because like you couldn't do it like in 5 minutes, the whole page anyways. But I think like what is still valuable is like knowing about the architecture, about like the system, about like how to keep the app maintainable when it grows large.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other opinions? Maybe Darka, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So I definitely agree with some of the points here, where writing code is definitely moving a bit like away, where you don't really need to know the syntax, but I think that having a lot of experience and like knowing beforehand when you actually tell Claude or any AI what to do, like knowing how to write the exact like plan
ahead of time, which I think requires a lot of experience, is the valuable part here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Terka?
So for me, I will go backwards. So what gain value is definitely everything but the front end, like overlap to product, overlap to backend, and like having this overall, you know, like knowledge and skill, I would say. I wouldn't say that anything really lost value, because even though you're not really using it consciously when you're like checking the code or anything, I think you're still using everything that you learned like in the years before. And what part changed? Definitely the speed, code reviews, and everything that was mentioned. But I remembered one thing that, for example, I worked a lot on design systems, especially on my last project or like the project before. We spent like a year and a half just creating a design system. And now like you have that just generated in, like a really short while. So this kind of work where you're creating any kind of system, you don't need it that much anymore, because the AI just goes and looks for you, like what's the current structure. So you don't need to be that systematic as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So if I go back to the title, like being a front-end developer in 2026, who of you likes to be a developer in 2026 more than 2 years ago? Thumbs up, yeah? Okay. Michal, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, maybe I'm still like getting more into using AI, but for me, I always liked that it was like kind of hard to actually code something, I guess. And I had quite a bit of pleasure like when finishing a task, whereas now it's a little bit gone. I'm not saying that I'm not happy right now, but I would say that maybe before it was actually more enjoyable for me personally. And so yeah, that's my take, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that bodybuilders who use substances also like get less happy with their performance?
There could be a connection, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next topic, which is the hard life of a developer. And I think especially Terka will have a lot to say about this. However, we will talk about whether you would recommend front-end as a career for a new person, for if AI has made like bad developers better or just more dangerous, and if it is possible to keep up, which Terka already talked about, and how you everyone do it. So, any tips? Any? Sorry?
So many questions.
So many questions. You can talk about anything in the topic of like the hard life of developer, and if we don't get like all the answers, I'll just ask someone. Go ahead, Matthias.
Okay, so maybe I will approach it from a different point of view and not directly from a front-end point of view, because like if I would recommend front-end as a career, that's like a hard question, because I would recommend software engineering as a career. Let's say that. And now the question what software engineering means and how it's connected with front-end. So until now, there was like a lot of front-end developers, because like it was complicated to write backend, complicated to write front-end. So basically one developer needed, or several developers needed to do basically just a very specific jobs. And now these specific jobs are going to be done by AI, so the developers needs to be more like software engineers, and where the writing of the feature is not really your job anymore, but designing it and making sure you make good design decisions with the feature. And of course, so what does it mean to being a front-end developer in the AI era? For me, like it made possible to deliver better user experiences, because until now writing like a really good user experience took a lot of time, and like usually from product side you don't really have a lot of time. So sometimes you were just saying, okay, don't deliver this part of the feature because it's still working, it's just not the nicest UI or the best user experience. But now we can really push our limits and really deliver great user experiences, like with really good amount of time. Also, you can now write really good tests for it, so you can make sure that they are working. So I think there are really a lot of good quality of life improvements, but I would approach it from the product side of point of view, that what can I deliver as a software engineer to the users. So yeah, that's my point of view.
A question. Sounds like being a software engineer could be really fun. How should a new person get experience that is required to do that? Go ahead, Honza.
All right. I see a lot of starting engineers in my company, because there's former product managers or traditional junior developers who are getting really good with building the product. And I think with more and more experience, there will be the new generation of engineers, coming from outside, doing something else, some business kind of work. But these people who know what they need to build, they can now build it, and with more experience, they will become basically engineers.
Any other thoughts? Anyone else? Go ahead.
And maybe I have a question to you, that if you think there is a hard limit for such a person who is, let's say, not a technical person, but starts to build products, but of course, they can build products in okay quality. And maybe one time the question comes of scaling or some really hard engineering problems, and how do you think then these people can handle these kind of problems?
Not well now, right? But they need the experience. So right now you can pair a senior engineer with a product type of person. They can do so well together. One person has the perfect business view, the knowledge of what needs to be built, and the other one is an engineer. But it's not that the product person is asking engineer to build something, but they are building it and asking engineer for help. And we have that, and it's quite productive.
So are junior people starting to be less of a resource and more of an investment, or?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's actually good to be a junior person, not necessarily a developer, but it can be a developer or business person who is starting to develop things. And yeah, they need the investment, and they need to have the builder mentality. So if they are curious to play with the tools, and they know how to define what should be done, and they know what to build, they are the best kind of people to be the future engineers.
Lovely, thank you. Any more thoughts, Michal or Terka? Michal?
So are we still talking about juniors getting into? Okay, so I just had a thought there. I think that having the very in-depth skills is still gonna be very valuable. And as you said, I think it's gonna be a lot harder now with AI, because why would I learn something which will take me a lot of time, where AI can generate a lot of code in a single moment? So yeah, I think it's gonna be definitely a lot harder for juniors to go through the take a lot of the time to learn the very in-depth skills. So I think that's gonna be a tough one for sure. So I maybe disagree with that a little bit.
Just a second. You showed us a framework here, which obviously isn't production ready, or you are not using it in production. And I was really amazed that we will get a talk like this, because I usually mostly see talks about like this is how we do stuff and this is just like how we automated, how we did stuff forever. So how do you find time, or how do you like find the capacity to upskill yourself and to keep up?
Well, for me personally, I follow like quite a bit of like people on social media which do a great job of like summarizing these stuff. But you definitely, if you want to learn something a bit more in depth, I think you just have to really like the process of doing that. So, yeah, I guess I recommend watching Syntax on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So, yeah, if someone asks me if I recommend being a front-end developer, I think I would ask them why first, why they want to do it. Because, as you noticed, like, Michael was the only one who said, like, yeah, maybe I don't enjoy it that much as, like, 2 years ago. So if the person likes writing code, like, actually, I would say go for some field that is not that, like, front-end is very AI doable, you know? But if you go to something much more, like, low level, let's say, like, do that. But if you like building products, go for it. But you will not write code. Yeah.
Okay.
And deal with it.
Thank you. Anything else anyone would like to add to this topic?
I'd say that it's quite a good time to be junior developer from the perspective that it's the first time in history that we can ask the tool we are working with why it's doing the thing and what should I do. Mm-hmm. So that's a good learning opportunity, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Honza, when you have the microphone, you mentioned that you work with a lot of juniors in your company. How do you make sure that like their lack of experience isn't like putting the project in a dangerous zone, and instead it actually like benefits the project?
It's a traditional question for management, I would say. It's like you need to pair them with experienced people and make sure that they are not drowning.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, is there anything else? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add that I think that this is a really interesting time to being a junior, because like what I see also on my project, that there are more senior developers who has some walls already built around them. And like maybe these walls are like artificial, that they are not really walls. And juniors doesn't have them. So I think a really skilled junior might have a really good chance of getting much further than like a senior developer who is like skeptical or like want to work in their usual like workflows that like takes much longer time to deliver a given feature or like build products. So we will see. I'm not sure how this will fall out, but it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So let's move on to the next topic. Works like a charm. So the new way of work. So basically, like Honza already mentioned that you most of the time are vibe coding, or you called it that, and it's a loaded word, and I bet that you are not meaning the same thing that someone who uses Lovable does. So could you perhaps tell us more about like what's the difference between like the vibe coding and if you are using, as I mentioned, Lovable or Macaulay, to like the AI-assisted development you do?
What I'm doing is that I first like build like a strong guardrails and tools to enable the web coding, because I know what I want from the agents. Then I can quite safely like just ask the agents to do stuff, but it's going to use the architecture I designed, write the tests correctly, and so on. Whereas like person using Lovable doesn't have this knowledge and doesn't have these requirements, so it's up to the platform to like help the person.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I think I know what I'm doing. That's the difference. But vibe coding, I use it like when I build something and I'm not checking the code. That's where I use the term. Other people may use it differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thoughts?
So I was really thinking hard, like how to define, or where is the boundary between vibe coding and AI-assisted development. And for me, well, I come up with a definition that, let's say if you got a bug or something that like your product doesn't work, then what's your first instinct to that? So if your first instinct is that, yeah, I know why it might not work, let's take a look on a specific space and like, let's fix it. And like, at least I have an idea that why it might not work. So I think that's an AI-assisted development, because that means you know how your product is built, you know what you do. There's a bug, you just need to know how to fix it. So that's fine. But if you are vibe coding, then, and if you receive a bug, then you basically have no idea. And if you are just saying that, okay, I really have no idea what happened here, and you just ask AI, hey, here is a bug, fix it for me. And whatever AI tells you, you accept because you have no idea that if that's a real fix or not. So this is how I would define. So, and of course, the second one is not what I would prefer.
Mm-hmm. That's a great segue to the second question, because you are basically saying that you as a developer know if you are doing AI-assisted development or vibe coding, but like how to know it like externally? If someone is, for example, like looking for a job, how can the recruiter tell if they are vibe coder or like a proper developer?
So I think that's an interesting question for hiring, that how to hire in this area, like new people or juniors or like whoever. So, and I think the really like a good definition or like a good way would be here to, okay, let's let the candidate show like a project that they built, and let's explain why they built it, how they built it, and what were the issues they faced, what were the decisions they needed to take during development that could go like either way, and why those decisions were taken. So given that what was the size of the project, for how many users are, what it should do. Because like you can do a product in a million ways, and there are usually better decisions to do and some worse decisions to do. And like, I think this might be an interesting idea how to evaluate. And I think maybe this is going to be a future what we are going to do in uplifting, but definitely we need to adapt how to do this.
Mm-hmm. Any other ideas like what to look for in developers? Anyone? Does not seem like it. In that case, is there anyone who would like to share what is something which is just like hype and everybody talks about it right now in front-end space, but it's not really usable? I'm not talking about 10 stack. Anyone? Any thoughts? Go ahead.
I'm talking a lot, it seems. So
we don't mind.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's going to be connected with front end. It's more like going to be connected with AI. But now everywhere I see in social media, the hype is that you need to run as much agents as can, and you need to make sure that they communicate with each other in several levels to make sure you are effective. So, and I was doing a research that, okay, it seems I'm not really there where like the social media says I should be. So, and I was checking that how can I be there? And like I found that maybe it's really just a hype and not a real like production gainer. So this is not something that in reality works. So I think, yeah, that might be a hype. So I'm still sticking to my workflow with, let's say, a few instances open with AI and not making talk them to each other, because like as previously it was told that if AI talk with each other, they seem to get the quality worse and worse. So yeah, that's my experience as well.
Yeah. Also, it burns a lot of tokens, which is great for the AI companies. My friend actually runs a team in a cloud of agents, and one really interesting story he had was that, like, they are learned on people like on human-generated data. So basically, they have one issue, which is like, in every retrospective, they start with, "Oh, we did this in a day! Isn't that amazing?" So, yeah, agents talking to each other, that's a future thing and probably not a now thing. Okay, any other thoughts? Maybe something which people don't tend to talk about, but it's really, really important? Anything? Michal, now it's time for the 10 stack.
No, that's maybe what I wanna like. I think all of the content that I see right now, or everyone is just talking about AI. So I just think it's hard to answer this question right now because there's not a lot of stuff, or they go undercover because everything is AI right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's maybe why it's so hard for us to answer that when it comes to like specifically the front-end space.
Okay, thank you. Terko?
Yeah, I wanted to say something very similar. Like for my own mental health, I don't know what the hype is right now. Like I'm like few months behind, and I'm happy, So that's my answer.
Thank you. Okay, before we get to the questions in the room, we have one more topic to cover, and that's being a front-end developer in 2027, which looks like the same topic we had, but there's a slight change in the year. So what will it be like to be a front-end developer in 1 year? And I have some expectations that Matthias will say that you won't be a front-end developer anymore. And also, like, what part of front-end will feel outdated, and what workflows feel experimental today, but maybe they will be the standard. So, anyone? Go ahead, say it.
I can say that for sure, because what I see now that I'm not a front-end developer even today, so, or not just a front-end developer, because like I had this word of view like a few years before that full stack developers are like a not existent thing. So you do front-end or back-end well, and maybe you do like the other thing like half good, and you are not really a good full stack developer. And if probably there are some really good full stack developers, but like that was not the usual thing to have. And I think today with AI, this is completely flipped. So now, basically, if you want to build a product, you build it end to end. You build the backend, you build the front end, you build the tests, you build the pipelines, you build everything. So I think like being a front end developer, it's not really a thing. Maybe today, yes, maybe in some slower companies or like bigger projects where they have more regulations or the project is bigger. But I think it definitely, if I will like just take in a hindsight how much it changed during the last year, that like the developer toolset and what a developer could do with AI, and if I will take a look what will in 1 year will it be. So I definitely think that now all the developers are going to build like vertical features from backend to front end. And yeah, and I think the only thing that maybe it would differentiate your skills as a front-end developer, that you understand user experience and how to design good user experience that a lot of time back-end developers doesn't care about. So here, this is the one place where I see some opportunity to being a distinctive front-end developer.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts about front-end development next year?
Yeah, I think because of what Matthias said, we will work in smaller teams for sure. Like that's something that's already happening to us as well. And so, yeah, maybe you'll be even just one person, maybe two. And for me personally, I don't like that. Like, I like working in a team and like the whole dynamics. So yeah, this is definitely the future of the next year even.
Well, I can imagine that like a proper project will have more than 2 people, because you need to have like not just like the developer and the product person, but also like QA, probably, because they see things developers don't.
For sure, yes. Please keep them.
And I cannot imagine not having someone like Scrum Master, someone who just separates the process stuff. But maybe Honza has shown us like how to like AI Scrum Master. So are there any Scrum Masters here? Lovely. We can be open then. Go ahead, Honza.
I wanted to react on the topic of the small teams. It's definitely happening, like that the teams are getting smaller. And in Mews we have this new position, which is just a new name. It's called Product Builder, and it's basically that you are one-person team. And what I was like really afraid of with this was the loneliness of the position. But what I find is that even though you are one person, you are still allowed to talk to other people. So you still have colleagues, you have maybe other product builders, other PMs, designers, you have people, you need to have your social network of people to talk to. Mm-hmm. And then you're not lonely anymore, even though you are building the product alone.
Are you talking for experience? Are you a product builder?
Not officially, but I'm like working in this mode, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other thoughts about next year? Maybe something that looks experimental today, but might be standard soon?
Yeah, so I'm quite curious where the whole AI writing UI thing is going to go, because as I mentioned, we are using Figma MCP, so we are like pulling the Figma files into the code base, but to be honest, like it's nice for some things, but for like complex responsive layouts, it really sucks. So, but it's like an obvious thing that I would expect that AI will handle. So I hope that maybe in next year, this thing that is kind of experimental now will be handled and it's going to be working.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Do we have any designers here? So what's the designer's role in 2027, Terka?
Yeah, well, depends on the project, right? Because sometimes you really need like a creative person. You wanna like something that really looks nice, appealing and stuff. But many projects are really just forms and tables. And there, I think, yeah, the role merging will happen as well. Mm-hmm. Like you can just generate this with AI. Mm-hmm. But yeah, designers for sure will be more in the role of talking to the users. So like going more to the PO role, I think.
Okay. Matthias, did you want to say something?
So no, I definitely think that it's going to be also challenging shift for designers. Maybe they will need to learn to work with AI and generate their own prototypes, and probably that will happen because like I think AI can generate pretty good UIs, not perfect one. So still, if the company wants to be like a top notch, and then they will need a designer because they need a creative mindset to coming up with like really nice. But like for the average application, like a really well specified AI skill, AI design skill can generate really nice designs. And what I usually do on my side projects that I will just generate a design prototype. I will fine-tune it with AI to have like a nice clickable prototype. And when that's done, then I will say, okay, that implement this to the application. And like, I think I will really save the designer for like most of the small applications. So that's really going to be challenge or the change for the designers. now the question if designers can write better prototypes with AI because they know the design definitions, the design languages, and so on. So I think that's something that I would like to see, or I'm curious how that will be in this year, next year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have plenty of designers in our team, and I was thinking hard about what is their place next year. And I think that it will revolve a lot around design systems and about keeping the application as consistent as possible while being as beautiful as are their standards. So yeah, I think it might go this way as well. Sorry, Honza, go ahead.
I don't think that designers are endangered because you need to think about the user experience, not the user interface. But what I'm a little bit worried about is about actually existence of the user interface in the future, because it feels so unproductive sometimes to click through the windows in the traditional software. We might sometimes it's just a lot more productive to just interact with text, which doesn't have a lot of UI. But someone had to thought about it, how it all works. And I shouldn't say this maybe on front-end meetup, but maybe we will have less front-end in the future.
I mean, Matthias has a cheat for that, and that's becoming a software engineer, right? Okay, thank you. Are there any other points you would like to talk about? Anyone? If not, then, sorry, did you? No, okay. Then I will take one of the microphones and ask people in the room, are there any questions?
I want to ask, how do you write the prompts for the agents? Do you still use your hands and the keyboard, or do you use your voice?
I write with my hands. I was thinking about the voice thing, but I still think that I'm more effective with writing with my hands. So because during writing, I'm thinking that what I really want to write. So and I can't think when I'm talking, or can't think that fast when I'm talking. So maybe this is my limitation, but yeah, that was work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, if I'm doing AI accelerated development, I prefer writing for the same reasons. But if I would be vibe coding, there I can imagine just really making a really long voice memo and take that as an input. There I can imagine. But technical stuff, I prefer to think about it and write it.
And do you feel comfortable to talk with the agent?
What do you mean? In front of other people, or
Yeah, it's like talking with a computer. Do you feel comfortable about this?
It's a bit, yeah, I only tried it with the voice memos. So it's yeah, I do this a lot, even voice messages with my friends. So I think I'm used to talk to a computer that is not responding.
Okay, thanks.
So what I found is that people tend to not when I dictate to computer on meetings. So on meetings, it's definitely writing. Go ahead.
So thank you a lot. I have a question. In your team, how changed pull requests code review in the era of AI? So AI generates a lot of stuff, and people need to check sometimes it.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about how to do reviews. So there's several approaches. You can have an agent to review, or I don't know. You can have skills that help you review someone else's code. It's definitely one of the difficult parts.
I'm a developer, backend developer, and I have experience with reviewing plans. Did you try it? So it generates different plans, but real stuff, real code is not interesting already for review?
No, I didn't.
Maybe I'll add, because I already talked about that we use AI to code review. But what I see lately is that I really miss not checking my colleagues' code, but I miss the context of what's happening in the code base, because we are not looking at the PRs at all, basically. Yeah, we are trying to now to do it again, but it's really hard to go back once you get used to this new tools. So I don't have a solution to that, but I just want to point it out that the point of the code review is also this, and we are losing that.
Remembered something. When I do reviews now, I don't review 80% of the code, but the important parts, which is API contract, stuff like that. So you need to know which parts are important and review these parts.
So from my point of view, this is also an interesting topic, and mostly that I question that what is the value of a review now, because now AI writes a lot of code. We need to do a lot more review. On the other hand, why review even exists? So that's mostly that to write a code that fits into the code base and architecturally correct, and on the other hand to prevent bugs, right? So because previously if you introduce a bug, it was pricey to fix. But now, even if you produce a bug, it's not that pricey to fix, so you can fix it much more quicker than previously. So, and now more like a question that where this puts the value of a review even, or of the code review. So I think this is also an interesting thing, how to think about it. I myself don't have an answer to this, because I'm really afraid of building a house of cards, that you don't do review and you just build, and after some good amount of time you found out you can't really add more code to the code base because you break everything or break more things than you deliver. So this is a known phenomenon, this is not new. With AI it might just be more accelerated, so we will see where we will land in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm afraid that's the situation right now, but let's be honest, developers do not review compiled stuff now, and AI might be just the compiler of the future, right?
Yeah, one more idea, because here we are an agency, so some projects are greenfield, some projects are not greenfield. If I would be building from scratch, I think I would really do at least some code reviews in the beginning. But once you get a solid code base, the AI will get inspired in that. So then, then you don't have to worry about that much anymore.
Thank you.
You mentioned on some presentation there was mention about spec-driven development, but how about test-driven development? Because we can generate tests now before the feature development and before the project. Will this help to have better reviews?
So I think there's definitely something to try, but now the question is, you still will need to have a spec that will define the test. So now you do the go around it. So now, and you need to make sure that somehow you are able to describe how the test should work. And I think that's harder than to describe the product, how it should work. So, and now the question that if you can, or how well you can do it. So, and I'm not sure on that myself, or for me it's definitely easier to define the product than the test. And meaning by that, the test well enough that it will catch all the edge cases that it needs to catch.
Mm-hmm. So basically spec-driven, test-driven development?
Yes.
Thought so. We have time for one more question. So.
Hi. I'm curious about how your workflow now looks like. Like, let's say you get a ticket for like implementing a feature. Prior to AI, you would like do some research about like given feature, given problem, and then start maybe implementing it. And now in era of AI, a lot of people use, I don't know, detailed plan modes or PRDs. And yeah, I'm curious about how autonomous is your workflow now, or are your workflows?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. And I think mine hasn't changed that much because I really like to understand first, like, okay, so I get a ticket and I find the area in the code base and I turn on plan mode. And first I wanted to explain like how it works now. Like show me the flow of the data, show me like what's relevant, everything connected. I understand it. And then I explain like, or I connect like the new feature, make the plan, and then I iterate and build. So, and this is really important for me because it gives me more, like, I can sleep at night because I can still understand what I'm doing and the control. Before, I think I was just like prompting and it didn't work that well. So really like mapping first and then doing the feature. Yeah.
I think it really depends if you are building something new, which needs the exploration phase, when you need to imagine like how it should work. And so there's a lot of human thinking about like defining the problem, and you cannot just like tell agent do something, and you need to explain the machine like what it should actually do. So my current workflow for this kind of new building stuff is basically that I'm building one tab with front end, another front with backend, another backend. So I have like 3 services over there and talking to them, switching them, like because like I can now move at a speed of thought basically, but then the speed of thought is becoming a bottleneck. And I can imagine like more automated workflow for something which is well defined, like a refactoring of like all the code base, which you can describe and just let it do stuff over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for my workflow, actually, right now I'm working on a new project where there's already like markdown specification files which are quite like complete, so the AI has a lot of context already. I still do use like Claude Code, and there was a question about using like voice or keyboard. I always type it out because I usually want to reference the files in the code base. So I would see that being like quite hard when you do voice. You probably have to exit out and then edit it anyway with keyboard. And I always start with a plan mode, and whenever I always read the whole plan. Whenever I don't like something, I try to direct it otherwise. And yeah, when the plan looks good, then only then I allow it to like go ahead. So yeah.
Thank you. This was such a lovely conversation. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Honza from Mews, and thank you, Michal Terka and Matthias from Applifting. And sorry, Matthias, I forgot to introduce you on the start. So warm applause for our lovely panelists for tonight. And that's it. Like, well, you have plenty of time to like get something to refresh yourself, get maybe something to eat. Maybe there will be nothing. Okay. Anyway, enjoy your time here. Talk to other people interested in the same things, and see you next time. Thank you.